Hello everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm the obviously head of post-production for the documentary. I made this obviously alongside Norman. He called me one day, he approached me and said, Lamarr, I need you to edit something for me. He didn't even tell me he filmed it, he just said, I need you to edit it. So I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. So, so we met up a few days later, he came to my house and we sat down, we went through all the footage and he talked about it with so much passion and enthusiasm. I said, cool, so we have to make this happen. And it worked out perfectly because I just had holiday from work, so we just basically sat down for like a week, went through it, got all the parts where we needed to in it, we cut out all the unnecessary bits. And then we ended up showing it to obviously the likes of Cyril, Gerard, and a few other people. We got the feedback, and then later on, I was gone back to work, but we still managed to make it work within our schedules and got the second draft ready. And once we did that, then it was all in his hands. Obviously, he actually fell ill during this whole process, by the way. So he actually disappeared for nearly a month. But obviously, so we're all here today. The film's here. Norman's back full health, thankfully, and we're here to show you guys what we created.
Thank you, Thank you. That's my brother, Lamarr. This goes back to 2007, so it's high school. This is my brother for life. He believed in my dreams and my ideas. He's one of the first to ever believe in my creative ideas. So I've got him for life, and vice versa. But with that being said, my name is Norman Busigu. I am the documentary director and presenter. So thank you very much all for coming out this evening. Now, before I go any further, I want you all to know that you guys have the hottest tickets in town to any event happening in London this evening. So, if you're ready to have a good time, can you make some noise? There we go. How was that? That was all right. So, I haven't got long, so I'm just going to get really straight to the point. I'd like to begin with a short story about my family. So, my mum, who's in the crowd, Susan Nasinza, she came to the UK. Mum, they love you.
Thank you.
She came to the UK in 1990 from Uganda at age 26, and she came just after her oldest sister, Petwa. They left Uganda because of the socio-economic turmoil and political instability happening. And as my mum always tells me, there was no future for youth in Uganda at the time. So I was born in 1996 in London, in northwest London, and I'm born as a product of the brain drain, and I'm a African in the diaspora living here. And what that means is, I think for many of us here born under these conditions, is there's a disconnect that we have with our culture and our heritage, because though we are African and we have African families, we didn't live there, we weren't born there, and so there's always going to be that sort of mismatch between identity and culture. And so I've always tried to make steps in my life to ensure that links are maintained to my culture and to really understand who I am. And that's really an underpinning crux of this documentary. Even though I'm Ugandan, it's about Ghana, but we'll come on to that shortly. So I believe now more than ever, there's a burning desire for those of us in the diaspora to understand where we're from, this idea of home, this thing of Africa, especially with the explosive rise of Afrobeats and African culture to the world. There's this real push that's felt everywhere, and everyone I talk to feels that. Because ultimately it's linked to identity. We're all reaching an age now of maturity, late 20s, 30s, and we're asking those deep questions about ourselves. So who are we? Why are we here? What is our community? What is our identity? And that is linked to where we're from fundamentally. I'd like to think anyway. Now, this also ties into media representation of where we're from. So when I was growing up in the 2000s, being African was not cool. Like the way it is now, thanks to Wiz, Burner, the like. Being African was not cool. And those 10 years older than me would get into fights because of the fact you're African, sort of thing, right? So the cultural translation of what it meant to be African in the media was very bad, because in my memory, being African on TV was of three things: famine, malaria, and embezzlement, political embezzlement. That's all we were. And I'm not saying those things weren't the case, but to reduce a whole continent to those things, it really didn't sit well with me from when I was young. And especially having been to Uganda several times when I was young, thanks to my parents. And so with my documentary, I truly believe, with the documentary that I've made with this amazing community and with this event, it's so important that we're doing this, because ultimately we're pushing our culture forward into this Western environment that we live in, and we're reclaiming who we are, and we're really showing the world what our culture really is, and that we're not just stricken to suffering and pain and famine, but we're so much more. And we're using that through beautiful visuals and authenticity and realness. Mm-hmm. And so it's my hope through this documentary that I'm able to bridge the gap between the two worlds of life on the African continent and those in the diaspora that want to understand, as well as other demographics, so be it Asians, Caucasians that just want to understand where we're from. And I do hope to do a series of documentaries in other countries in Africa in the future. But for now, let's just stick with Ghana. So I will get your feedback on that, and if my dreams are working, then we'll keep going. If not, then I'll retire. But I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But yeah, again, big shout out to Soho House for believing in the vision, trusting us, and allowing our community in here. It's not just me. I'm not just the one person trying to be the one spokesperson. I've got a community here with me who are my equal sum of parts, and they are all just as important as me. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for turning up, and I really do hope you enjoy the event, learn something new, and have a great time. So thank you.